Hey, welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. Inusaf Husseini is here. Richard Ahiagbah, Suleiman Ibrahima, and Mary Ada is on Zoom. So, Richard, nobody has complained to the president that he should fight corruption without evidence. Has anybody made that complaint? Why is he changing the subject?
Well, so thank you very much. I think that this conversation really is not about corruption in essence. It's about the rule of law and how that interacts with democracy to uphold the rights that democracy provides for the people. And so that in that space, how you balance people's conduct to ensure that there is sanity in the space, people are not exceedingly stepping on other people's rights, and people who are abusing certain liberties are managed within the law. So for me, I was proud for the president's situation of the conversation of corruption in the context of law. To say that, yes, we must fight corruption, but we must do it according to law, because ultimately, what society we have agreed to create is a democratic one. And so people who must be allowed to flourish must be allowed within the context of the law. People we want to stop from flourishing in adverse ways must also be checked within the space of law. So how do you balance that? You allow due process. There's history to that, right? And the evolution of that concept. For many, many years ago, by the 13th century, England, where I think that, long before that, in ancient Greece, where the concept of people's freedom, okay, is guarded and more or less it crystallizes for me in the 13th century, where in England, the Magna Carta was signed, essentially to curtail the powers of the king and allow for some liberties for the people. And so when you have a democracy, that must allow people's right, so that before my right is taken from me as a citizen, which democracy provides, there must be a certain process to establish that beyond reasonable doubt, that at this point, we have concluded as a society that what you have done is beyond the pale, and so therefore you must be punished. That must be allowed. That must be accorded. And the president's situation of the conversation, I think, is what we need to pursue. So really, this conversation is not about who is corrupt or who is not corrupt. Because really, if you want to follow that conversation, it's a function of skepticism. So that one person will say, oh, Akufo-Addo's regime is corrupt. One will say, Mahama's regime is corrupt. But the point is that, are we taking steps to verify that truly, merely what I allege, as some say, you are not a fair host, is that conclusive? It cannot be. Maybe because I feel that, oh, you have not allowed me some liberties, or you didn't allow me to respond immediately, and so therefore I lost steam. And after the break, I said, oh, you are not a fair host. But that cannot be true. You understand? So this is what this is about.
Are people entitled to be disappointed, or should people be disappointed that a president who actually rode on the campaign of corruption to win elections would be making certain comments that appear to be protective of his appointees when they get into trouble, rather than, as you said, wait for the due process to be followed and concluded before he would make any comments?
Something. You are the lawyer, and you said, and I think I support you in saying that if you are a judge and any president says anything, you won't listen to that. You do the law. Okay.
Exactly.
And not try to sidestep the law and punish the person. So which one do you think should take precedent? The rule of law, or just the inherent desire that people will criticize me, so therefore the person must be sentenced according to public opinion?
No, there are things that you expect moral society to bring to bear.
Yeah.
So if you have a president while in opposition, the least report of corruption, he would speak about it, condemn it in no uncertain terms, even before the legal processes kick in. Yeah. Then he comes into office. My question is, don't you think it's a legitimate expectation, for example, that Akonta mining is found and the government issued a statement through the lands ministry that he's done something wrong? Then you hear from the president saying, oh, he's not done anything wrong again. There is the Australian visa scandal. It comes up. Then you hear from the president for the first time that, oh, my guy is clean. Cecilia Dapai is in trouble. And institutions are supposed to begin their job. Then he issues a statement and says, I believe in the fact that she'll be exonerated.
You know, something. On that note, I think my brother said it. And for me, anytime I hear people say that, I wonder, I'm saying, what exactly? And that was the point you said, that if you were a judge, you won't listen. And you are right. Does that constitute, truncating the legal process that must ensue? Following an investigation, a determination that something wrong has done because the president commended the character of a person he knows. There's an instance where somebody can say, oh, Richard comes here and never fights. Richard comes here and behaves well. So if you were not here and somebody was here hosting the program and it comes to tell you that Richard came out and disrupted the program because you didn't watch the program, I say, no, Richard is not like that. But that doesn't mean that the process or the situation that they're saying hasn't happened.
But the comparison,
or has happened.
The comparison, is it good?
I'm just saying that.
The president, the fountain, the expectation, shouldn't he be cautious to avoid some of these things? And if you will say anything at all, be cautious in saying that something looks improper, but let's wait investigations.
So what he believes, what he knows to be true, he can't say that. And you, Substance, because of your principles, and that principle per your training, should carry through. So that it is not what the president says that is the law, but the law exists. And if you sit on that case, it is the evidence that will come before you that will lead to your judgment. So not because somebody has said something, the evidence that will be brought to you that are crystal clear to you, how would you deal with the evidence if it is crystal clear because somebody has said something? That is not the system we have set up. The legal system, which you know very well, is evidence-based.
We appreciate
so it
that.
Doesn't matter.
Is the president not supposed to be giving signals? If he says,
no,
in my government, if I win power, and your intention in being in the government is to make wealth in public office, stay off, I don't want you here.
Right.
And then things happen. Is it not expected of the president to say, for example, and this is one of my disappointments, so I've said it on my show, so it's public, that a member of parliament that he had given a job at, is it Bost or it was Tor, Alfred Obeng, we are fighting corruption. Then he goes to tell the delegates and speaks directly on radio that he was going to buy the delegates. He was going to pay the highest. So anybody who intended to contest him should not bother. He has saved money in dollars, so he doesn't lose the value. He will pay 10,000. He will pay even 20,000 if his opponents did more than that. I had an expectation of the president to make a public statement that this should not be encouraged. I had an expectation of the party to say, we don't encourage this. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about law.
What you're saying, but then what the president is saying is not that he has to respond to every comment anybody makes. He's saying that in this country, the major access to ensuring that our society runs in a balanced way is allowing the law to work. So therefore, the institutions that have been set up, IOCO and the rest of them, who are set up to fight corruption, money laundering and the rest of it, they must be activated. In fact, you're not suggesting to us, Samson, or anybody suggesting to us to say that the president must micromanage institutions that are established to do specific jobs. You can't. Where you are seated, you can't micromanage the people in your MCR. Okay? They must do their job. So something like that should be directed. But if we just say that every issue should not go to the president, then essentially what we're saying is that we don't need any institution. The president must be everything else. But that is not the system we have set up.
Okay.
The point I am making is that this whole conversation about the president is a clearing agent, for me, is a political tag. The substance doesn't, the evidence of the situation we have lived through from 2017 till now has not established that.
Okay.
I believe, and I think that you should promote that education to say that in order for our society to function normally, we need the law to work.
Of course.
The rule of law reinforces democracy. It's a mutually reinforcing concept. So you cannot tell me that, okay, because you are obsessed or you have some perceptual disagreement.
Richard, if I were president, okay, and my minister is reported to have lost $1 million at home, I will not be quick to say, I trust in the person, they will be cleared. And investigations find up to $1 million plus or so stashed in the person's home. Unless I'm so naive a president, I haven't read enough and I don't know what would have happened in a decent society that a certain amount that a minister keeps in their home, just keeping it in their home, will bring trouble.
So what would you do then?
I will not say that that minister will be cleared in the end. That's the question.
But I'm saying that if you won't say that, what would you say?
Perhaps I say nothing. But
you have to say something.
Yes, but if I have to say something, I will say this is not good conduct. Even though
prejudicial.
No.
You're accusing the person
that's not
before due process.
That's not prejudicial. Conduct, that is not good conduct. I expect that you would put your money in the bank. I have not pronounced that you are guilty of anything.
What the president says, he's not exonerated either.
Anyway.
Because one way, it's very important. You have not given me enough time. The point is that, listen, whichever way you speak, there is a basis to say that, one, you are actually establishing that, oh, she's done something wrong. So if we are assuming that the legal system is pliant, then whatever you say on the negative...
No, I think rather the expectation is that his comments should be consistent with his comments when he was not president but opposition leader.
But you see, in the instance specifically with what we're talking about, what is the linkage there? He's speaking to the character of somebody he's worked with. It's not on the substance of any allegation. He's saying that the person...
We have very limited time now to go